She released her fourth studio album, from which this particular record came from. It is My Light, Simpiwe Dana coming through, and that fourth album was titled Firebrand. That is how we kick off the show with you on this fine Monday afternoon. I hope that you got some much needed rest over the weekend and you're ready to power through the last couple of weeks of 2014. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a burst of physical and mental fatigue at this point in time, and it's taking everything that my brain can master and to overcome the physical symptoms of fatigue. My body is slowly working against me at this point and shutting down with each day, and the brain just really having to power through, because isn't it always the case is that in the final stretch of the year, when really we should be slowing down in particular sectors and fields, that's when we're running at full steam ahead, and that's when we take on double the load that we usually do. And so we're going to power through it, and we're going to see each other through this day. We're taking it one day at a time right now, at least from my end. It's one day at a time right now. Literally, the cupboard is stocked with every kind of vitamin and immune booster and everything you can think of, just to stop the body from crashing, because with each day it is threatening to quite literally shut down. So we're going to get through it. We're going to power through it as we tick off yet another day. Means one day less, one step closer to Christmas and New Year's. Coming up on today's agenda, we're going to be having a conversation that's exploring the pay divide and looking at the economic and moral impact of wage inequality in South Africa. Does such a thing even exist? Why equal pay matters? And we're wondering from your perspective, do you think that executives, top executives in your company or in your sector perhaps, should executives be paid based on a company's performance, or do you think that high salaries are justified by the market forces argument? And we'll find out exactly, the nitty-gritties of that particular perspective. Would love to know from you. Should top executives be paid based on companies' performances, or should you think that the high salaries are actually justified? 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on. 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. We'll also be touching base with the guys from Rand Mutual Assurance. We've got a graduate program for 2025, so they'll give us details around that one on the other side of 2 o'clock. What is a personality high and what value do they bring in the workplace? Elaine Agodi joins us once again, a career coach. That's coming up on the other side of 2. I'll tell you what else is on the agenda closer to the time. But our lines of communications are open on 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on.
Ever tried to paint a wall with only a brush? Or hung a picture on just a nail and a prayer? The contestants on My Design Rules will be the first to tell you good design starts with the right tools. Tune in to My Design Rules every Sunday at 7 p.m. on SABC3 and stand a chance to win a weekend away in the winning apartment. From beginner projects to expert builds, Buco has the tools and materials you need to get the job done. Ready to kickstart your next DIY project? Begin with Buco.
Buco. Think bigger than just a banking partner. Think a team of specialized experts supporting you to make better financial decisions to enable your growth aspirations. Think a strategic partnership providing indispensable advice to help you make the right moves. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
The Energy Regulator will hold public hearings on Eskom's 6th multi-year price determination MYPD6 revenue application for the 2025-26, 2026-27 and 2027-28 as follows. 18 and 19 November, Cresta Grand, Cape Town. 20 November, ETC Conference Centre, Port Elizabeth. 21 and 22 November, Transnet National Ports Authority Enshed Passengers Terminal, Durban. 25 November, Bon Hotel Bloem Plaza for Bloemfontein and Kimberley. 27 November, Mbombela Civic Centre, Mbombela. 29 November, Jack Boats Hall, Polokwane Central. 2 December, Protea Hotel, Klaksdorp. 3 and 4 December, Eskom Academy of Learning, Midrand. To attend or present at the hearings, register at public hearings at nursa.org.za and indicate which hearing you wish to attend. All public hearings start at 9 a.m. and visit nursa.org.za for more information. Positive identification is required at venues in Durban and Midrand.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Not my producer saying if I die on air, I need to tell them exactly what I'm dying of so that they can come back and report to you as to what killed me live on the broadcast. Anyway, let's have this conversation with Kwanele Ngongela, who is a senior inequality analyst at Just Share. So wage inequality remains a deeply entrenched issue in South Africa, exacerbating social and economic divisions despite the country's transition to democracy more than 3 decades ago. And the latest findings from Just Share highlights a staggering statistic. The average CEO in the wholesale and retail sector earns 597 times more than the lowest paid worker in their company. And this disparity not only being morally unjust, but also economically unsound. And these words are borrowed from a piece by Just Share. Good afternoon to you, Gwanele. How are you?
Good afternoon to you, Bridget. Thank you very much for having us. I'm doing great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for the time. So the average CEO in wholesale and retail, in the wholesale and retail sector, earning 597 times more than the lowest paid worker in the company. And I think a lot of people would agree with you guys at Just Share to say that, this may seem morally unjust. However, is this how we should be framing this conversation?
Oh, great question. No, thank you very much. That's correct. I don't think there is any other way to frame it because often we hear that South Africa is one of the most unequal countries in the world. But Bridget and the listeners at home would appreciate that we barely deep dive into this conversation as into what are the actual drivers of this unjust, stubborn inequality in South Africa. But at least because of we have the data, I think that becomes like a very important point of departure in framing the conversation when we actually deep dive what are the actual drivers. Now, as the viewer at home, the listener at home would appreciate that, inequality in the context of South Africa manifests itself through very skewed income distribution and also unequal access to opportunities. And yes, you will hear well, inequality still manifests itself along racial lines and gender, Bridget, meaning that women on average, right, we should underscore that on average, and 30% below their male counterparts. However, if you are looking at the composition or transformation generally across employment levels within the labor markets, we'll see predominantly at the bottom, low-skilled, you find Black Africans in particular. Yes, it makes sense because of the demographics, they are a majority, right? But as you actually go up to junior management, still you'll find Africans, women there. But as soon as you get to middle management, where you would find professionally qualified people, specialists, and so on, there is the relative parity there because if you see Africans or the previously disadvantaged individuals, as they are called, or ACI Africans, colored, and Indians coming in strongly there. And also in terms of gender, we've managed to close that skills gap in terms of education. Women are also excelling, if not better academically, but we still do not see their representation there. Of course, this affects their earnings. When the issue now comes at senior to top management, where there's absolute dearth, there is no true showing, particularly listed companies of women and people, Africans or Black people, let me put it that way. Of course, that also have a bearing on earnings, but also it's not that Black people lack skills or women lack skills, but it simply tells you that we've done little within the democratic dispensation to dismantle the apartheid wage structure, but also the labor market outcomes, you know, post-1994. And it's really disturbing that the legacy of the past is still lingering, and quite strongly so within our labor markets in terms of earnings distribution. And that's really bad for our economy. Maybe I'll get to explain that later on.
Yeah, and how does such disparities also affect social cohesion, for instance, and trust in institutions? Because it definitely has an impact.
No, definitely. As I've mentioned now, that it does have major consequences on the broader political economy of South Africa. As would appreciate that high levels of inequality means that larger segments, given our demographics of society, may be excluded from economic opportunities. But even if you are actually included, Bridget, it means if you are a low earner in this economy, you are not participating in the economy meaningfully. So what does that do? It limits both your outcomes in life in general, be it health, education, where you live, and so on and so forth. But it also means that when we're having like a huge makeup of our labor force earning low and a select few earning significantly well, that does have like an impact on how the economy performs. And we know, of course, globally, economic analysis has shown that high levels of inequality undermine economic growth all over the world. But also there is a disturbing part. Even if you were to have growth tomorrow, Bridget, we can grow with this desired 5% or so that we usually cite. In a highly unequal society, it simply means that income distribution is concentrated at a certain segment, It simply means that you won't diminish poverty because those benefits will accrue to a select few. Also, what is equally important to note, to me, it's worrying. In a highly unequal society, it's obscene, or inequality is obscene. populist, populist proposal that would promise easy but unrealistic solution to the majority will find fertile ground, especially in our democracy where the poor and marginalized have the political strength, but the rich continues to control the key economic decisions, and also earnings are still distributed along racial lines. Doesn't mean that people do not have skills, it's just that access to opportunities remain really structured. How were they before were ushered into this democracy?
Got you. Let's pause here for a second, Gwanele, as we take the headline news with Ondela, but our lines are open on 061-410-4107 and 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on. What is your take on this conversation around the pay divide and, of course, the moral impact of the wage inequality in South Africa? And should executives be paid based on their company's performances, or do you think perhaps their high salaries are justified? We can't wait to hear from you. Thank you, Bridget. In the news headlines at 1:30, the South African Human Rights Commission says it's launched an investigation into the Vala Umgodi operation underway at a disused mine shaft in Stilfontein. Gender-based violence remains a profound and widespread problem which affects almost every aspect of life in South Africa, and leaders of the G20 group of the world's most powerful nations are gathering in Brazil for their annual summit. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
It is the full circle with myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM, leading the conversation that moves you. And of course, we are in conversation with Gwanele Ngongela, who's a senior inequality analyst at Just Share. But before we continue, let's jump to Nhlanhla in Durban. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, my sister. Thank you for taking my call. And my sister,
yes.
Equality and inequality, my sister, it's a topic that is close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
But inequality starts in Parliament. Basic values in Chapter 10 of the Constitution, public administration, basic values and principles that govern public administration. Public administration must be broadly representative of South African people with employment and management practices based on ability, objectivity, fairness, and the need to redress the imbalances of the past. It's like affirmative action.
Yes. Nhlanhla, give us the shortened version.
Yes, my sister. Employment Equity Act or Employment Equity Plan report or Employment Equity report is there to address all these things that we are discussing about. The failure of enforcing Employment Equity reports, it's a huge problem because it said allow these things to continue happening. When you go and Google Employment Equity report Scotland, you will find the Employment Equity report of 2010 submitted by Minister Mpo Kale, stating the same issues. After how many years? After how many years? From 2010 and then from 2024, like 14 years. We are still discussing the same things.
Yeah. I mean, I get the gist of your point, and unfortunately we have to leave it there, hey, so that we can jump to the other callers in a moment. But I get the gist of your point. That was Nhlanhla out in Durban. Gwanele, as we continue the conversation, I mean, there's been legislation that has been introduced as recent as this year that aims to hold businesses accountable for the excessive executive pays through certain measures. But you know, let's talk about the impact that this legislation would have on, equitable and inclusive, on an equitable and inclusive system. And as Nhlanhla points out, we're still talking about the same thing all these years later.
Yes, it's quite unfortunate. Nhlanhla is right, and he touched on very important issues. I'll quickly touch on the Companies Amendment Act. Maybe if the time allows, I will go on to some of the issues that Nhlanhla correctly points out. Recently, to address the issue of high CEO remuneration, we know that we had like the Companies Amendment Act, it's Act 16 of 2024, but I should make it clear that it's not yet operational, but we know that it will mandate state-owned companies and public traded companies like public companies or listed companies to disclose their vertical pay gaps. So we know that that act particularly, it was enacted with the sole objectives, or I'll say one of the key objectives, because there are other issues. So it aims to achieve equity between directors of these companies in senior management on one hand, and shareholders and workers on the other hand, as well as addressing what we are actually talking about now, the public concern regarding high levels of inequality in society. So that's the Companies Amendment Act. Now, how will that play out? Companies will be required now to publish a total remuneration of employees with the highest and the lowest remuneration, right? So we'll be able to see who's the highest earner, how much they are earning, and what is the lowest person in that particular company earns. But also it will enable us to see the average and median remuneration of all employees. But also more importantly, now we'll be able to see a remuneration gap which reflects the ratio between the top 5% earners and the bottom 5% employees. Now, because of this has not yet been operational, but it's something that we have been advocating for, because we believe that pay transparency will benefit both employers and employees. Someone at home will ask how. We argue that pay transparency will provide workers with relevant information and evidence that what they might require when they negotiate pay rates, and also provide them with a means to challenge potential pay discrimination. I mean, wouldn't it be great if you are in a certain sector also know what other people are earning within the same industry and so on. But also for employers, we are saying that pay transparency legislation will provide the opportunity for them to identify but also address discrimination in pay that might otherwise negatively affect the good functioning of their own enterprise. It's good for industrial relation. But what is also extremely more important about these developments in legislations, the Companies Amendment Act, Bridget, introduces what is called binding votes on remuneration. So this will materially change how shareholders vote on executive remuneration in public companies. Now, it also introduces a two-strike rule which applies to the members serving on remuneration committees. So if shareholders now reject the remuneration reports, or more than 50% of shareholders vote against it, all the members of the remuneration committee will be forced to stand for re-election in their capacity as remuneration committee members in the next AGM. The second strike will mean then, if shareholders again reject the remuneration report for the second consecutive year, the members of the remuneration committee may stand for re-election. This is very important now, as directors in the next AGM, but they may not serve on the remuneration committee for 2 years. And this will only apply to those members of the remuneration committee who have served during the year in the review. We know this.
Gwanele, I wish, apologies for intersecting there. I wish we had more time for the conversation, but they whisper in my ear that our next guest is coming through a timed Zoom call, and so we have to leave it there for today. But I think you've given us a good nugget for folks to sit with discourse in their own circles. We appreciate the time with you. That was Gwanele Ngongela, who's a senior inequality analyst at Just Share. Let's take a quick pause, and then we come back and we get into our next conversation.
Bafana are coming to Cape Town to play the final qualifier against South Sudan at the Cape Town Stadium on the 19th of November 2024 at 6 p.m. Come early, Dress to support Bafana Bafana for a chance to win prizes. Gates open at 3 p.m. and tickets start from 60 Rand for adults with special rates available at 30 Rand for children under 12. Scholars in uniform and students with student cards at all Ticket Pro outlets. If you can't make it to the stadium, catch the game live on SABC2 at 6 p.m. or visit sabcsport.com. For more details, visit safa.net and Bafana Bafana on X and TikTok.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, so to confirm then, you're saying the actual printing of the exam paper is 200 million rands only, right? And I use the word only.
Yeah, 220 million.
Okay.
Yes.
Total cost 3.6 billion rands. And you're saying that 3.6 is actually consistent in terms of what's expected of a cost. So you don't have overspending there.
Yeah, so the setting, just the process of setting question papers, you get a group of people in a room over a period of time to work out what the questions should be. Remember, we've got about 200 question papers that are set in this exam just in 2024. And for each paper, you need a group of experts who sit in a room to consider the best possible scenario, which will become a question paper for each subject for the learners in the given year.
Nigel Mslanga, the Department of Basic Education spokesperson.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. All podcasts can be downloaded on safm.co.za. Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
I must admit, hearing that National Pulse promo, even I've never considered the cost of actually setting the matric examination papers. I don't know in my mind who I thought set the question papers, but I've never really just thought about the fact that you must convene, relevant experts and stakeholders, and then, they obviously then go through the syllabus and et cetera, in order to curate the respective exam paper for that year. And that is time and resource, which equals money. We learn to live. We live to learn every day. Even myself. My next guest joins me now on the line. Head of Organizational Effectiveness at Rand Mutual Assurance, Ulza Pakri, and the Rand Mutual Assurance Graduate Program 2025 is set to be an exceptional gateway into the financial services industry for recent graduates eager to make a real impact. And Ulza's here to tell us all about it. How are you doing this afternoon?
Hi, Bridget. I'm absolutely fantastic and really grateful to have been invited to chat about the amazing things we do at RMA.
Listen, we appreciate the time that you've carved aside for us. So let's get an overview of the RMA graduate program. Maybe start by giving us some background around this graduate program.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So for RMA, we don't see our graduate program as just a standalone program that we sort of, bring graduates on board. Our graduate program, as well as our learnership and our bursary offering, forms part of what we call the Young Talent Strategy at RMA. And this strategy is broader than just the one program. And of course, we do have a beautiful program that we've designed, and we look at our learnership, but it's important for me just to let you know that this all forms part of a strategy and how we actually enable our business strategy of becoming a business of significance, so that everything we do is tied in directly with us being a social insurer. It ties in directly with our strategy, our purpose to bring dignity into the lives of workers. So I think that's a little bit of context around our young talent strategy and most certainly our graduate program and learnership.
By way of the program, obviously understanding that it plugs into a broader sort of business and social strategy for RMA, but by way of the program in isolation, what is the ultimate achievement or the ultimate aims of achievement through the graduate program?
So for the graduate program, we hope to achieve quite a lot. I think the first thing for us is it's about enabling the dreams of our young people, and certainly also that's on the one side of it, and stimulating the economy through ensuring that our young talent pool in this country with a very high youth unemployment rate. We certainly have a look at how we can remedy that as an organization, but it also serves another purpose for us in that it's quite strategic in helping us build our long-term talent pipeline for the organization as well. So if you look specifically, it's tied into not just bringing people on board and giving them some experience and then allowing them to leave and maybe go and work somewhere else. What we're really saying is we're quite specific around the individuals that we're bringing in terms of the skills that we need, both in the country and also in our sector, and growing those specific skills, for the industry. So that's really what makes it compelling.
Speaking of those, much sought after skills, both for the organization and the country. Let's look at how the program then equips young graduates with those skills for current and future roles, and of course, what's to be expected for those successful enough to be a part of the program in 2025.
Absolutely. So a lot of the graduate programs that we see, they're fantastic programs. We focus very much on the graduates being able to gain workplace experience or on-the-job exposure. What we do is we have a look at, yes, it's the on-the-job exposure in line with your qualification, be it actuarial or IT or analytics or whichever of the critical skills it looks at, but we look at that in isolation. We also look at how do we prepare our graduates, for the world of work, looking at the skills that they need now, whether they be soft, hard, technical skills that they would need now, but certainly also in the future. So as an example, within our competency framework, a full competency framework of the organization, systems thinking is something that we know that it's important for our graduates to be able to have systems thinking, project management, innovation, research skills, analytical skills, problem solving. And so concurrently with gaining the technical on-the-job experience, we also ensure that readiness for the future, the way you think about solving a problem, and the way you bring your whole self and your key strengths into how you execute your work as well. So it isn't just about gaining experience, rotating people throughout young graduates throughout the program. So in the first year they'll come in, and yes, we'll do the workplace readiness with them. We'll give them exposure through rotating them throughout the organization to really understand the organization, the strategy, how their roles fit into enabling how that works, and then concurrently looking at the personal development, the personal strengths that we can grow further, looking at the development gaps and how we then close that as well, through mentorship, through coaching. We bring this holistic approach into play when we develop our graduates.
I think one of the overriding themes whenever we speak to various stakeholders who either deal in, first-time employment or those dealing with recent graduates or even those still at tertiary level is a conversation around the talent pool mismatch. And you sort of highlighted, or touched on it a little bit there. And I wonder, the RMA graduate program, there's very many programs out there, but what also sort of makes this one program stand cream above the rest of similar graduate programs out there? Is there a standout feature perhaps that makes this RMA graduate project even more unique and even more dynamic than other programs?
It absolutely does. There is definitely something very special about the RMA graduate program because we are a social insurer, and we look at the full value chain and the sustainability of everything we do in the insurance industry. What we do is we take a partnership approach to how we develop young talent in RMA. So as an example, one of our clients is the National Union of Mine Workers. They have a graduate a development strategy around bursaries. And so what we do do is we specifically also look at, our previously disadvantaged, pensioners, people who are our clients who perhaps don't have an avenue for their children. And so we bring that social insurance lens in there to say, right, of course, maybe for whatever reason, you're not getting the top grades or you're not getting the top of your class, but you have such huge potential. So we don't just necessarily we look at the full individual. We look at everything you bring, not only your academics, into the program, and how we then help not only the individual and the young, beautiful graduate that is fresh and so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed around, the kind of difference they can bring not only to their families, but the communities where they grew up in. And so we take this partnership approach, like with JB Marks, which is the bursary program, and we have a partnership with them to say, the children then of mine workers, how do we afford these opportunities to people who are not necessarily always in the cities or close to the opportunities, but we do make this opportunity available more broadly than just sort of advertising it, on our website. We do make it available through our partners, through our clients as well.
As we begin to wind it down, give us some context around the annual innovation presentations. And this is something that you asked the graduates to partake in.
Yes, absolutely. So our graduates, like I said, they form part of the entire organization. They do all of the processes that we do, even from a performance management point of view. If there's anything innovative, we do have, all of our graduates and learners, these are matriculants who come and get their very first qualification with us. They have the opportunity to have a look at the organization and solve very real world problems for us. So last week we had our graduation ceremony where 10 of our bursary students, we had 21 learners, and so our graduates really that's come through on the program, and they've gone in and they've analyzed the challenges in the organization, and they've presented it. The winner of that program actually did a chatbot for us from a customer point of view. I can't say too much around that, but it's very real, and we are actually planning to implement it. So our people that we bring on board into our programs, they're not just here to make coffee and make copies, your proverbial coffee maker, as it used to be in the past, but very real experience, contributing and sitting in meetings, leading meetings, really gaining that real competence that's required to thrive in the new world of work as it is now.
Yeah.
So very real work experiences, yeah.
Also, as we wrap up our conversation, just for those who perhaps have a keen interest for the 2025 program, if there's still time, the portal that they can go and access to extract more information.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just go onto our RMA website, and we do have a link for applications in the website, on the website as well.
Wonderful stuff. Ulza Pakri, thank you so much for the time, head of organizational effectiveness at Rand Mutual Assurance, and you can log on to their site to get more details. Let's take a quick pause. It's just gone 10 to 2 o'clock.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
MasterChef's salty voiceover guide to mispronunciation. Today's word, finale. Origin, Italian. Pronunciation, finale. Meaning the last part of a series, commonly mispronounced as
final.
As if you are discussing your matric results. Example.
I can't wait to see the final results of MasterChef.
If you insist on saying final, it's okay. Watch the grand finale or final on November 23, 8:30 on S3. MasterChef, things are about to get salty.
Our role must be to seek to build a better world.
SAFM invites you to our annual public lecture, delivered by former Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor. The theme for the lecture is 30 Years of South African Freedom, reimagining South Africa's democracy, achievements, challenges, and the road ahead. in protecting our democratic gains. The lecture will take place on the 21st of November 2024 at the Bridget Hotel and Conference Center. Secure your seat by emailing us at info@safm.co.za.
Today, I'm part of seeking to build a better South Africa.
SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
As we chase the top of the hour, we're catching up with Coco Kojo, Senior Entrepreneurship Manager at the Graça Machel Trust. And in partnership with strategic allies, the Graça Machel Trust aims to reshape the narrative around African women entrepreneurs, envisioning thriving businesses that generate wealth and employment. Good afternoon to you, Coco. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon. I'm well, and how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Let's get an understanding as to what is the Women Creating Wealth program.
Okay, so the Women Creating Wealth program is a response to the fact that African women entrepreneurship is growing, but the businesses stay stunted. So we're building a program that really responds to the issue of confidence, ability to dream big, ability to set goals, audacious goals, ability to really understand what it takes to get market access, ability to understand how to get finance, and also, most importantly, the technical assistance that's required to make linkages to finance, accessing finance as well, because that's a big one, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Continue.
So thank you. So really, we have a big audacious goal, right, which is that we want to reach 10,000 women across the continent. It's small, but we want to start with 10,000 across the continent who create $1 billion and 200,000 jobs in the next 4 years.
Sure.
And this is an important goal to set because it's part of transforming the mindset and the can-do attitude of women entrepreneurs, because if you know that you're part of this community, you know that there's the challenge on for you to know you can be more, you can do more with support that the program provides.
I mean, a very ambitious 10,000 women with $1 billion and 200 jobs in the next couple of years. And so this speaks to the Trust's need, well, the Trust's mission to empower women as catalysts for Africa's economic and social transformation. Give us a glimpse as to how the program will ultimately work.
So, as you said, the Trust vision is really always putting women's agenda at the forefront of Africa's development agenda. So, the program starts with really identifying the women who have the appetite, growth appetite, and have shown some early signs of entrepreneurship, right? So it's 2 years in business. You have to be doing a turnover between $10,000 and $500,000, which is about 200,000 to 10 million rands, because we believe that there's a lot of women who are stuck in that missing middle kind of gap. And once we find them, it's really, I think the big part of it is really around mindset, right? Because we believe that the businesses are small or remain small, not because women are not capable. Yes, there are barriers, but we also believe that in the entrepreneurship space, personal mastery is everything. You need to be an agent of change because the market is rough, it's open market, it's wild out there, and it really is about your agency, your personal mastery, and of course the enabling environment. We know that there's so we look at it in two ways. One is what is in the woman's control, and that is your agency and your personal mastery and your leadership. That is in your control, and the skills that you build and the knowledge and the networks that you're able to acquire to be able to build your business. And then there's what is not in your control, which is the systemic issues, the structural barrier issues. This is where Graça Machel Trust then take it up, because we also we believe that we can also create evidence, right, from the entrepreneurs that we work with to then present cases to policymakers, government, sectorial divisions within government agencies, whether it's an agribusiness, manufacturing, energy, or whatever it is. We're able to then say, here's a collective voice of women who have this issue and they're petitioning for that change. And I think it's important to also make this have this conversation, because I think a lot of women start business, they look inwardly. They don't know that where they are stuck is also about the systems and the structures. And that's where we really believe that the women's leadership in these sectors is important because they're the voice that is going to be represented to say, this is how we want to contribute to the solutions. Because I think we also need to be careful to not be pointing fingers at just government and policymakers. We know we need to also be part of the solution. And it's really about how do we bring the ecosystem together to have a conversation about where women and youth are stuck.
Absolutely.
You know, and find a conversation that is meaningful and everybody gets heard and we find creative solutions together.
Absolutely. As we wrap it up, unfortunately, we are fast run out of time. How do women in business become involved, or how do they become a part of the Women Creating Wealth program?
It's normally through a call for application because we are a not-for-profit organization, so we're donor funded. We have organizations like MasterCard Foundation, Visa Foundation, even the Financial Services CETA in South Africa, who have pledged to work with 600 entrepreneurs. So we're looking for more people to be able to do this. But the partnership is all these organizations, including even IDC. We've done a program with IDC. So when we have a call for application, we go online and we advertise. And the main thing is to look out for at the Graça Machel Trust Women Creating Wealth program.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Coco Kojo, thank you so much. No doubt we'll be touching base again at some point in the new year. Coco Kojo is the Senior Entrepreneurship Manager at the Graça Machel Trust. And as you heard, they are creating spaces there to empower women in business in order for them to be catalysts for Africa's economic and social transformation. And so there could be a gap there for you to plug into with your business or your expertise. And I'm pretty sure if you visit the GraçaMachelTrust.org website, that is the official website, you'll be able to extract as much information as you possibly need. So you can log on to GraçaMachelTrust.org for more. It's gone 2 o'clock. Ondela Mbana is standing by with the news, and then we'll come back on the other side and get into a conversation that's career focused. And we're wondering from your vantage point today, have you ever been in a situation where losing a job turned out to be a kind of blessing in disguise? Let us know on WhatsApp 061-410-4107. Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 2. An investigation launched into Vala Umgodi operation and high rate of gender-based violence in South Africa. For SAFM News, I am Ondela Mbana, and a very good day. The South African Human Rights Commission says it's launched an investigation into the Vala Umgodi operation underway at a disused mine shaft in Stilfontein. This after it received a formal complaint from a community leader of Stilfontein in the northwest. According to the Commission, the complainant claims that the police's restriction of essential supplies such as food, water and medication to the shaft infringes on the illegal miners' right to life. The SHRC Commissioner Pili Lenduli says they conducted an oversight visit at the mine last week and have confirmed that the miners are not being blocked or trapped from coming out of the shaft.
The South African Police Service, working with the South African Defence Force and other stakeholders, are implementing this operation, popularly known as the Vala Umgodi, to these abandoned mine shafts as a means to halt the operations, including the inflow and the outflow of gold, food and other substances. Our investigation therefore comes in to say what possible prima facie violations of human rights are showing themselves in the process of the implementation of this Vala Umgodi.
Members of Parliament's Communications and Digital Technologies Committee will this week get an opportunity to discuss matters around the withdrawal of the SABC bill. The bill, among others, aims to address the funding model of the public broadcaster. Last week, Minister Solly Malatsi withdrew the bill, saying it does not address the important matter of the funding model for the public broadcaster. This has raised anger amongst committee members, including the chairperson, Kusela Diko Sangoni.
Emotional, economic and controlling behaviors were also prevalent with younger and Black African women disproportionately affected. The findings also showed that intimate partner violence was a significant issue, while women from age 15 were affected by violence perpetuated often by family members. The study is calling for a comprehensive national action plan. Hasina Gori, SABC News, Pretoria.
16 people died on Eastern Cape roads this past weekend in a number of crashes. The spokesperson for the Department of Transport, Makaya Komisa, says the biggest single crash claimed 6 lives, leaving 10 injured when a minibus collided with a car on the R61 near Takastad. Komisa says a total of 18 people sustained injuries during this weekend.
Transport and Community Safety MEC Xolile Ngata conveys his sincere condolences to the bereaved families and wished the injured a speedy recovery. MEC Ngata continues to urge our motorists to be vigilant when driving, especially at night. He has also called on farmers to take care of their livestock to avoid accidents on our roads.
Leaders of the G20 group of the world's most powerful nations are gathering in Brazil for their annual summit. They are due to discuss how to tackle global poverty and boost climate finance. The BBC's James Landale reports.
This is a gathering of the world's most powerful nations. The G20 leaders are here, including President Xi of China and Prime Minister Modi of India. So too are the heads of the European and African unions. And yet this summit is expected to be overshadowed by one leader who's not here, Donald Trump. There is much uncertainty. Will Mr. Trump trigger a trade war by levying new tariffs on goods entering the US? Will he force an end to the war in Ukraine in Russia's favour? Will he free Israel to escalate its fight against Iran? This summit is a chance for world leaders to compare notes about what could come in January. Hard choices may lie ahead.
Recapping the top story, the South African Human Rights Commission says it's launched an investigation into the Vala Umgodi operation underway at a disused mine shaft in Stilfontein. I am Ondolambana for SAFM News. Headlines at 2:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Bikwana Jametsi want to prove that they can swim in all kinds of tough circumstances and shock Masanda Wanda to be crowned the champions. But Bafana Bastal trust their superior game plan will deliver a trophy to the Yellow Nation. This is the Calling Knockout Final. Fagukes! Catch the unmatched passion and drama of Ibola Semzansi, Makesi FC versus Mamelodi Sundowns FC on Saturday, 23 November, live on SABC1 at 5:30 p.m. and SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM. SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
We are chatting to Elena Godi, now career coach, and we're talking around personality hires. What is a personality hire, and what value do they bring in the workplace or to an organization? And as always, when we talk to Elena, I walk away with an interesting perspective around professional dynamics. How are you doing this afternoon?
Bridget.
You good?
I am. I'm very good. And yourself?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Before we even get into this conversation, let me tell you, I think one of the last times we spoke, probably middle of the year, if not earlier, and we were speaking around the concept of quiet quitting. And here I find myself at an event dinner just last week, hosted by a corporate bank, and sitting across the table with the head of human resource and procurement and marketing. And the concept of quiet quitting comes up around, intergenerational hire. That old conversation, millennials versus Gen Zs, and how that story goes. Now I'm having to articulate everything that you've taught me around the concept of quiet quitting so that they can understand.
I love it. I hope it was a fruitful engagement.
Let me tell you, there was a lot of aha moments at that dinner table, and people went, "Oh, is that what they are doing?" So we appreciate the knowledge. Let's get into today's one. So today's evolving workplace, there seems to be a new hiring trend that yourself and those who work in professional spaces have observed, the concept of personality hires. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the value of personality in the workplace, and how do organizations strike a balance, and perhaps take it one step further and go, well, is this really a new concept, personality hires?
Yeah, I love this topic. I can talk about it for hours and hours. So personality hires is not really a new concept. It's been around for ages. A lot of organizations use personality assessments, for instance, as part of their recruitment process. But when we look at it, we look at personality hire as being someone who may not necessarily be hired for their technical skills or experience, but rather for their personality and the character traits that they bring with them to the workplace. And so, for example, it would look at someone's level of emotional intelligence, how they communicate, how they build relationships, how they foster relationships in the workplace, and generally how their personality comes across in the workplace dynamic. So that's what we would call a personality hire. It's not been new. As I said, it's been around for a long time. And I think the way that organizations are trying to incorporate this is to be focused on the people who bring some sort of life to the workplace. Versus, only hiring people for their technical skills and experience.
But I mean, that doesn't, you're not suggesting here that the only then sort of prerequisite for these type of hires would be based on one's personality traits and character. There still needs to be a level of skill and understanding of the job scope.
100%. I would hope that organizations are not only hiring for personality, right? Because if you think about it, an individual brings their whole person to the workplace. And so what really works is when an organization can look at what does this role entail. Does it entail, for instance, somebody who, in addition to having the skills and experience and knowledge that they need to be able to build relationships, we're looking for someone who's going to bring a little bit of energy to the workplace. And so part of their recruitment and hiring process should include all of those things and not just the personality. But we find that, with the Gen Z generation, I guess that for them that's becoming almost a prerequisite when they look for organizations to become employed by. That is this organization just looking for me for my technical skills, or are they also looking for the energy and the personality that I bring to the role and the organization?
Now, Elaine, how does one then strike that balance between hiring for personality, which I guess is important, right? When we've had conversations around cultural and interpersonal dynamics within organizations, intergenerational dynamics, you want the right kind of mix of personalities and people in place. But you also need to ensure other things, like you said, the necessary technical skills, whether or not one fits into the strategy, into the succession plan of the business, etc., etc. So how do you go about just ensuring that that balance and striking that perfect dynamic? Because you might get somebody who's really great at all of those soft skills and everything else, but
I know exactly what you mean. We often call it those people that can talk the talk but not walk the walk, and vice versa. Those that can walk the walk but not talk for the work that they do. So it's interesting because very often I advise my clients to look at what does this role require. Is the person going to, for instance, be required to spend 70 to 90% of their work doing the technical stuff? Or is there a component of relationship that they need to have and build in the role? So for instance, if you're looking at, let's say, I'm going to use an arbitrary example, let's say a data scientist, right? Is the data scientist going to be sitting behind their laptop, processing data, providing the insights for the organization? And are they also going to be required to work with specific individuals? If they don't require that interpersonal interaction, then chances are the hiring manager would want to focus on the technical skills and experience, right? Versus, let's say, somebody in human resources, for instance, right? They may have the technical experience, but that role requires a lot of interpersonal interaction, conversations, setting up meetings, setting up wellness events, interacting with leaders at different levels, interacting with employees. So in that particular role, yes, the skill set is important, but more than that, you want someone who's able to communicate and build relationships, bring some sort of energy to the human resources function. So I always say, what does the role entail? And in your organization, what is success in that position going to look like? Is it that you want them to be able to present and talk, or do you just need them to sit and get the job done? And that's how you make the distinction between, are we looking for personality as well, or are we just looking for a little bit of personality, but technical skills are more important?
Yeah. And what sort of, or how does this impact the workplace culture and team dynamics? Because also, as we're having this conversation now, I can tell you there's probably a lot of older millennials who have rolled their eyeballs so far back because they're like, okay, now you're giving us something else to deal with on top of everything else that Gen Z seems to be, bringing within the formal structure and the ways that they are challenging this. So how does this then impact the dynamics and the culture within professional settings?
Yeah, that's such a good point you make, because the truth is, I say this to all my clients and every person that I work with, that I do coaching with. I say that every organization has a particular culture that will enable the teams and the employees that work there to work cohesively together. And that's essentially going to be defined by what does success look like in that organization. If we're a research organization, for instance, maybe we don't need that many personality hires because essentially people are doing research. But if we're an organization, let's say in the marketing, advertising, branding space, we need a couple of people who are not able to do the job, but are also able to present the brand of the organization. And so finding, for me, the right balance is about what does this culture of our organization require, and how do we then assess individuals who align with that culture. And simple things could be, for instance, in our environment, we have, let's say, Friday afternoon get-togethers every month. And we want people to be sociable. We want people to interact. The people who work best in our environment are those individuals who are able to do that, right? So if, for instance, you hire someone who's then a little bit more introverted, who's not maybe able to connect and build relationships, they may find that environment quite intrusive, right? And so while they may love the job, the environment may not actually be conducive for them to feel like they're thriving. So it's important to, as leaders, to define what that looks like for you, and then go and find people who will thrive in that environment. Because it's not just about the technical skill. It's about, is this environment going to, one, enable me to perform at the best of my ability, but two, actually make me feel like I belong, like I can build team environments and be part of the team culture and build relationships.
And you say on the flip side that not only is this trend emerging for organizations as perhaps a priority for them, but it's also emerging for, young prospective workers, particularly Gen Z. They seem to place an emphasis on whether or not the environment and their personalities all fit, and they share an energy in that space.
100%. And I attended a seminar masterclass around this topic a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things that was shared in that session is that Gen Zs are looking to get a sense of what that culture is like by following not only the organization leaders, but looking at what their presence is online. They almost use that to get a sense of the vibe, right? Is this something that is this environment going to be something that I'm going to enjoy? And can I see that? Can I look online? Can I look on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook to see like what do people actually do there? And do I feel like I'm going to be part of that? And it's probably one of the reasons why a lot of Gen Zs don't stick around in organizations for long, because for them, it's a non-negotiable. So first of all, am I going to do my job effectively? And is this place going to provide me with the environment where I can be myself, where I can be eccentric if I am that kind of person, if I can, use
Eileen? Oh, it's buffering a little bit. Okay. Connection just letting us down in the last few moments of our conversation. Always an interesting time with Elena Godi, especially unpacking just the different social and professional dynamics that are underplay in all these different work spaces, and particularly once we start throwing Gen Z into the equation and the mix of things. So not only are we learning about quiet quitting, not only are we learning about the benefits of job hopping, now as well we are plugged into personality hires. Okay, we've got you back, Eileen. Yes, you can pick up on your last thoughts.
Sorry about that.
No stress.
So I was saying that it's really important for organizations to understand what does success look like in their environment, and to go out and find people that not only possess the technical skills for success in the role, but ultimately are able to fit in the culture for long-term sustainable success, so that they feel they belong in an environment where they can thrive. And more than that, the organization can actually see the ROI of making a decision not only on technical skill, but also on personality.
Yeah. Just your final thoughts. Does this also speak to changing dynamics perhaps in the labor market?
It definitely does. We're finding that because of, I think, COVID has been a big introduction to how the landscape of the world of work is changing, that organizations and leaders are now having to rethink what it takes to hire the right people. Because in the past, it was just about the technical skill. But we know, though, that because there are, more than 70% of the world's workforce is disengaged, and a big portion of that contributes to a misfit in culture, then now it means organizations have to start thinking strategically about bringing in new people in their environment that can contribute to the success, but also showcase that they can be there because they fit in with the team and they are happy to be part of that. So a lot of leaders and organizations are having to change the way they hire, because the old ways are just no longer working, and it's proven over and over again.
What a wow. Elena Godi, always a pleasure. And Elena is a career coach. By the way, you can find her on social media, and she's quite interactive there as well. Coming up on the other side of the headline news, we're going to get into Kids Corner, but we're also asking the question, have you ever been in a situation where losing your job turned out to be a blessing in disguise? It turned out to be just the push you needed in order to deviate and go off in a different direction and make a great success out of it. Even if it was a case where you just needed to actually just rest for a couple of months, and so the circumstances forced you to rest and take care of your health. We'd love to know from you. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line, and of course you can always give us a call as well on 086-000-2032.
Back-to-back Women's T20 World Cup runners-up, the Proteas face England. They both want to walk away from Buffalo Park with big smiles. What is summer without cricket? This is the first Women's T20 International Contest, where summer cricket comes alive. South Africa clashes with England on Sunday, 24 November at 2 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and reports on various SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Thank you, Bridget. News headlines on SAFM. Some non-governmental organizations at the COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan, have warned governments that when closing coal power stations, they should take into consideration job losses in that sector. The South African Human Rights Commission says it's launched an investigation into the Vala Umgodi operation underway at a disused mine shaft in Stilfontein, and further restrictions have been imposed on construction activity and vehicles in the Indian capital of Delhi to combat worsening air pollution. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hi guys, my name is Kate and today I'm going to be talking about my experience during exams. So something I always bring with me in exams that makes me feel prepared is obviously a pencil, an eraser, and a pen and a highlighter. I also bring a ruler for like underlining and stuff. And the reason I bring a pencil and eraser, because like even though I know I'm not really gonna use them much, just like if I need to make like side notes that I'm gonna erase later and just stuff like that, even though I'm gonna erase them in the end. I think it's important to follow the rules in exams because a lot of the time the rules are set to help you and like just so that you don't cheat. Like you can't cheat obviously in an exam, and the rules that like are given to you are to like read instructions, look at the mark allocations and all that, and that's all just to help you. It's in your best interest to follow the rules that are given to you in an exam. I hope everyone is doing well in the exams and it's going well for everyone. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Hello guys, my name is King David Ikena Eze. I am 10 years old. The one thing I always bring with me when I'm writing exams is 2 pens. Just in case one is jamming and I don't panic, I can just take an extra one and then write so that I won't panic because there's no boring assessment. So yeah. Afrikaans is one important subject that is written on its specific day because it's hard to understand and it's very important. If it's failed, the person who failed it failed. It's important to follow the rules in exams so that you can avoid chaos and distractions. It's fair if people follow the rules in exams so that people that make noise in exams, disrupting the class and disfollowing the rules, dishonoring the rules, they shall be punished, and that troublemaker will not be there to make more trouble.
Good day everyone, my name is Randa Mzobe. I am 11 years old. The thing that I bring during exams that make me feel more prepared is books to study for the next that we are going to write, or the next subjects that we are going to write. The important exams is the subjects like maths, English and Afrikaans, because if you fail those subjects you're gonna repeat the same grade, which is not okay, and it will make you feel emotional, which is not good. You might following the rules makes a fair chance during exams, cause some people like to cheat. They like to write answers on their self, which is not fair and good. So people must study and study for their exams. Cheating is not okay, because the next grade you will not be able to cheat, which is you're going to fail, and cheating is not okay. So study and study. Don't waste your time on playing, just study. We are not saying you must not play, but please study for your exams, because like I usually like seeing people passing, going to the next grades. Just like I know I'll go to the next grade because I am a studier. Even though I like playing, I am playful, but I usually study. Thank you.
A thing that I bring for my exams that make me prepare is my pen. I think what's important is the pen, because if you don't have the pen, you cannot write. And in my school, you're not allowed to borrow. Following rules help everyone pass, not to cheat, and everyone gets good marks. I think rules need to be followed because people cheat and people will get marks without knowing what is really there. And then you go to the next grade, you will not know anything. So you must know everything so that when you go to the next grade, you will pass. You will pass.
Hi everybody, my name is Karabo. One thing I always bring with me on an exam day is my notebook, my laptop, and obviously my stationery, because that makes me feel more prepared knowing that I have something to do or something to go through before the exam begins. One of the most important exams to me is math, because that determines my future of being an accountant, and obviously accounting would also fall in on the important subjects to me. Why I think it's important to follow rules during an exam is because it guides you through the path of knowing what's wrong or right. How exam rules help learners or people taking exams is by guiding them from making a stupid mistake, like having a device on them that would also be required as cheating because you have a device on you. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Bye.
Hello friends and happy Monday. Today let's talk about the importance of exam rules. Exams are an important part of your school experience as they help your teachers gauge how much you've learned. To ensure everyone has an equal opportunity during tests, schools implement exam rules. These guidelines are straightforward yet very important. They promote fairness and help you stay focused on your work. Without these rules, exams might not effectively reflect your knowledge. One key reason to adhere to exam rules is that they maintain a quiet atmosphere in the classroom. Silence is important during exam rooms so everyone can concentrate on their responses. If you chat or create noise, it can distract others and disrupt their focus. By following the rule of staying quiet, you contribute to a better environment for both yourself and your classmates. Another crucial rule is to avoid cheating. Cheating involves copying someone else's answers or using unauthorized notes. It's unfair because it doesn't accurately represent what you've learned. Exams are designed to assess your knowledge, and cheating prevents teachers from understanding your true capabilities. So be honest with yourself and avoid cheating. Doing so shows respect for your own efforts and those of your peers. Additionally, exam rules includes coming prepared with the necessary supplies such as pencils, erasers, and rulers. Being well prepared helps you feel calm and confident during exams. When everyone follows these rules, the exams can start on time, and no one has to wait for others to borrow materials. This ensures a smooth and fair testing experience for all. Exam rules are established to provide everyone with a fair opportunity to foster a quiet, honest, and organized atmosphere in the exam room. Following these rules demonstrates respect for yourself, your teachers, and your fellow students. They aren't meant to complicate exams, but to ensure they're equitable and beneficial for everyone. So remember to follow the rules and give it your best effort every time you enter the exam room.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Get your payments done with the utmost security and convenience when you purchase a TV license now. With our new secure payment systems with a one-time PIN, OTP feature, and the choice of receiving your OTP via SMS or email, you can ensure prompt and secure payments. The additional use of capture will protect you against spam and automated data attractions. With TV licenses, you can enjoy watching all your favorite shows or movies that matter to you. Get yours today. Visit www.tvlic.co.za.
The SAFM Playwriting Competition is back. After receiving hundreds of entries last year from South African writers of different ages and ethnic groups sharing their stories, now the time is yours. It's your story. You decide. SAFM invites all writers to explore the medium of sound, the theatre of the mind, and to create a 1-hour radio play in English. Get writing now and submit your play before the 3rd of February 2025 for a chance to win one of 3 large cash prizes. For more information, visit safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM supports and works tirelessly towards equity and equality for those living with disabilities. Empowerment is key. Let us break the barriers and improve the quality of life for those living with disabilities. Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
Alrighty, let's get into this conversation now. From setback to comeback, what is the upside of getting fired from a job that you hate, or maybe even a job that you love. Have you ever been in a situation where losing a job actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise for you? And how did you turn that setback into a new opportunity? We'd love to hear from you. 061 410 4107 and 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on, because sometimes hindsight is 2020, right? When you are in the moment where the situation is unfolding and you're finding yourself receiving those devastating news, and you think, oh my goodness, what am I to do now? Especially in a world that values job security. But there are very many, situations and circumstances where being fired from a job or a position that you liked or disliked actually probably was not the catastrophe and the end of the world that you thought it was going to be. 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line, and 086 000 2032. I'd love to hear your personal experiences on this one. But joining us now is Mulugu Chipape, who's the Chief Operations Officer of Rosebank College, to help us navigate our way through this conversation. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. And how are you, Bridget?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Let's look at that. The ability to see opportunity in a setback. A lot of people, if they find themselves in a situation where they've lost a job or lost out on a position, it can be difficult for them to see the light, or to see perhaps the gap there that can be maximized. So how do we reframe that in our minds? How do we reframe a setback into a potential opportunity or a potential comeback?
Thanks, Bridget. You're correct saying it is tough, losing a job. But at the end of the day, it's all about perspective. And I think when somebody is fired from a job, whether a job that they despise or like, it's actually sometimes could be, the universe nudging into a new direction. And a job that really drains you, your energy or passion, can be difficult to leave sometimes on your own. But being fired, it forces somebody to reassess life and career choices. And it also opens a freedom to pursue, a new passion, or you may have ignored before, or even giving you a chance to reinvent yourself professionally. But many people find that this freedom allows them to explore a new path and also align better with their true interests and values of what they really want to do with their career.
Now, given the sort of, the pressure for one to have some kind of stability, the very real life responsibility of bills, and things that need to be taken care of, in that immediate moment, it's difficult for anybody. And I mean, we've all found ourselves in situations at some point in time. A contract has ended abruptly, or you thought it was going to continue and it didn't. You lost the job, etc. In that immediate moment, it's very difficult for us to have a conversation with self where we are seeing this as an opportunity to either reassess life or a chance to reinvest. So how do we sort of work our way through that initial moment of disappointment and anxiety and perhaps even fear of what comes next, in order to be able to see and see that sunshine through the fog, to get that clarity through the fog?
Bridget, first and foremost, I think individuals need to allow themselves or give themselves an opportunity to grieve through the process that they may just have went to. But I think what's important is that they must not dwell on that. It is natural for somebody to obviously feel upset and angry or even lost, to take a bit of time to process, the emotions of losing a job. But like I said, I mean, it's not the end. It could be the new beginning. But I think once you have done that and you have allowed to yourself to that space to grieve and reflect and understand what you truly want out of your career, it's important to use the period of being unemployed as an opportunity to explore different career paths and align with your values and strength. And also, I mean, always reflect on your achievements and your strength. That will definitely give you a better perspective in what directions you need to take.
Talk to us about perhaps some ways that we can build that mental toughness and resilience after the setback, because I would gather we need that as the foundation blocks.
Definitely. So, I mean, resilience is very important. Like I said, being fired, it is a challenging experience, but also a powerful lesson, obviously, in resilience is overcoming the shock and setback of losing that job. And it obviously, like you said, building a mental toughness. You learn to rely on yourself and get deeper understanding of your strengths and weaknesses. And this resilience is viable, it's very valuable in future endeavors, because you learn on how to bounce back from a low point. And it's a skill that obviously will serve an individual no matter what you decide to pursue in your next step. So resilience is very important to understand that, I can overcome this and I can even achieve better.
Is it easier, Mologo, is it easier to sort of find an acceptance if perhaps you've been let go from a job that already you despised, a job that already you were there but not there, it wasn't satisfying you, versus, for instance, having to be let go from something that you actually did enjoy and something that really did fulfill you? Is the one easier to take and easier to sort of navigate through and try to see the opportunity versus the other?
Yeah, Bridget, I mean, like you said, losing a job, it can be affect your self-esteem. But I think what's important for an individual is to rebuild their confidence by, like I said, focusing on the skills and achievement, but at the same time, also look at other opportunities. There's opportunities out there like networking, and identifying and mentor. Somebody that can mentor you in the career that you want to pursue, but also engaging with others in the industry or a different industry you want to pursue, attending events, or finding support by joining online communities. There's online communities for different professions, and that can also open doors and new opportunities, and that can also offer available guidance by finding mentors. And I think mentors are really critical because they can provide you with insights and support that can incredibly help you in navigating a career transition while you're looking for something better.
Yeah. Talk to us about the power of reinventing yourself and perhaps even career reflection. What are we talking about there when we talk about career reflection?
So, I mean, career reflection, it all starts in, what do you really want to do? So I'm going to give you an example in one of the things that somebody can do, a couple of tips. You need to really look at upskilling or pursuing further education that can really play a bigger role in your career. Especially, you might find that the skills or the qualification you have or the skills that you may have may be a bit outdated, looking into a new field that you want to pursue or that you are interested in. So it's a perfect opportunity to invest in yourself. You could take a short learning program, you can learn a new language, or you can gain certification in the area of specialization. And this will definitely make you more attractive to future employers and will equip you with the tools that you need in order to succeed in your career.
Of course, all I'm hearing here is, you got to learn to look at the glass half full versus it being half empty.
Definitely. So, I mean, it's very important that as an individual, being fired, it must not define who you are. Always remember to that most successful people, some have been in your shoes before. I mean, we can talk about the likes of Oprah and Steve Jobs. They were at some point in their life. I mean, they were let go of their job. But today they're very, very successful. So for me, being fired, you can use this experience to pursue a different passion, reinvent yourself, and keep on moving forward. And this could be the beginning of more fulfilling and a successful chapter in somebody's life or career.
Yeah. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. Have you ever been in a situation where you've lost your job? And in fact, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise for you or perhaps for somebody in your life. It's just gone 10 to 3 o'clock. Let's take a quick break. Then we'll come back on the other side of this and wind down our conversation.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Get your payments done with the utmost security and convenience when you purchase a TV license now. With our new secure payment systems with a one-time PIN, OTP feature, and the choice of receiving your OTP via SMS or email, you can ensure prompt and secure payments. The additional use of capture will protect you against spam and automated data attractions. With TV licenses, you can enjoy watching all your favorite shows or movies that matter to you. Get yours today. Visit www.tvlic.co.za.
Our role must be to seek to build a better world.
SAFM invites you to our annual public lecture delivered by former Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor. The theme for the lecture is 30 Years of South African Freedom, reimagining South Africa's democracy, achievements, challenges, and the road ahead in protecting our democratic gains. The lecture will take place on the 21st of November 2024 at the Birchwood Hotel and Conference Center. Secure your seat by emailing us at info@safm.co.za.
Today, I'm part of seeking to build a better South Africa.
SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
I mean, the day is almost upon us for the annual lecture, which is taking place this coming Thursday. We're going to be out at Birchwood Hotel and Conference in Ekurhuleni side of Johannesburg. So I hope you've RSVP'd to secure your seat for that address by Dr. Naledi Pandor. As we begin to wrap up our conversation, let's go to WhatsApp on 061 410 4107.
Hello, SAFM. Good day. Yes, man. I'm Confidence Mutiba, and my wife worked at a hotel where she was fired 5 months back, and the reason she was fired is that she was fighting with a guest. So the guest called her names, and she stood her ground. Then she was fired on the spot. 5 months later, she landed a new job where she was immediately promoted to a manager within a month. So yes, losing a job sometimes can be a blessing in disguise, and she always wished to resign from that job. Thank you.
There you go. Sometimes Oprah always used to say that, at times the universe will make you so uncomfortable that it ultimately just forces a situation on you in order to affect some kind of change, right? And it speaks to what we're saying, that perhaps being fired from some jobs or, being let go from some situations actually turns out to be a blessing in disguise. We've got a few more moments, by the way, if you do want to share yours on 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. What questions should we be reflecting on during this downtime, perhaps, Muloko? The kind of questions that will help guide our next move or perhaps guide our next sense of direction.
I think what's important in this time, when you had to be let go, I think it's very important to understand what you really love to get out of your career, because I mean your career obviously influences how you subsequently live in your own life, and what you enjoy is that is more passion towards you. So and most of the people would also look at even if it's not going to look for employment, but maybe look at becoming, starting a business that eventually might obviously succeed into something that you would benefit from. Like I said, I mean, if you think of the likes of J.K. Rowling, that they were fired before, but at the end of the day, they're very successful. I mean, you just mentioned now, Oprah, Steve Jobs, as I've mentioned earlier. So it's very important that you look at something, if you don't want to be going back into employment, but look at maybe starting a small business.
Absolutely. I think you've given a fresh perspective, and as we say goodbye to you, we'll play out with the voice note. We appreciate your time today. That was Mulogo Chipape, who's the Chief Operations Officer of Rosebank College. Let's go to WhatsApp.
Hi, Bridget. I love your show. This is Anonymous. Yes, it happened to me in 2003, whereby I was managing a certain company, which I won't mention, and it so happened that it carried on, and I taught everybody that came in the company, I taught them everything, what to do and how to manage the entire company. And as time went, they got another contract. By then, I was in turmoil with them because I was in hot waters, because now they were looking for ways of getting rid of me, because now they were going to get cheaper labor that they were going to pay for. So they started misusing me and so forth and so on. So it carried on that we went to CCMA. I won the case first time. I won the case the second time. And I thought rather shake my hand, and the commissioner said rather shake his hand because he knows the law. You cannot beat him with the law, so rather admit to what he wants. They give me my 3 months handshake. I walked away. Thank God. A few months later, my friend told me that there's an ad on the papers. I must just follow there and check what's happening. When I eventually sent in my CV, I was taken there, and I got a better job. Priced my salary, and I was working 3 shifts, 6 to 10, 10, 6, and it was what a job I had, and I could still run my business. Sometimes you lose something to gain something. God bless you. Have a great day. Thank you with your listeners. God bless you.
I love it. What a wonderful note to leave it on. Sometimes you lose something to gain something. Thank you so much for being a part of our conversations today and choosing to be with us on SAFM. I'm going to hand over now to Ashraf and his team, of course, for the National Pulse. No doubt they're going to be picking up on some of the more topical headlines coming out of the news cycle today. From me and my team, we will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock on The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. Inshallah, God willing, we do it again.
Thank you, Bridget and the team. Top stories at 3. Government urged to concede job losses in the coal sector, and an investigation launched into the Vala Umgodi operation.